Newport.
Portions of this show are recorded. Strap in and be prepared.
Room for error is much slimmer in basketball.
One player and it changes your entire team. It's not like that in football. It's just not.
It's not.
Interesting guests.
Kelly Graves, Mike Parker, Coach Mark Waskowski, Noah Eagle, Melissa Lombardi, Kenyon Barnard, Jonathan Stewart.
Sharp opinions.
Dana Altman probably earned a pass for a down year after almost 20 years of what he's done for Oregon basketball.
And some smiles.
Guys, I was stuck in a car wash.
Sounds like an R. Kelly song.
It's not an R. Kelly song.
It's Danny Havel.
I can't remember, and I've been doing this for longer than you've been alive, which is really horrible that I have to say that, but it's the truth.
Justin Grossweiner.
It's like the saying in Alaska that you don't have to be faster
Than the bear.
You just have to be faster than your friend.
Danny and Justin starts now on Fox Sports Eugene and Fox Sports Newport.
Hello, neighbors! Welcome. Hi, top the Delta Triad, the Crystal Palace. Live for the Bigfoot Beverages Studios, just on Fox Sports Eugene today. We are. We're live. And if you're streaming us, you can hear us on, the Fox Sports Newport web thingy. Pretty sure. Woody came in here and was checking all the dials and the buttons, things like that. Ducks are playing Maryland in the opening game of the Big Ten tournament for the men's side. We'll talk about that, obviously. Oregon State women are playing in the WCC tournament in the championship game against Gonzaga. The winner gets the automatic bid to the NCAA dance, which is coming up. We'll have Selection Sunday on the 15th. Oregon baseball, Oregon softball, high school basketball in the state of Oregon, the big schools, 6A, 5A, 4A, are going to kick into gear Wednesday and Thursday, and through the weekend, we'll be talking to Thurston High's number 4 ranked OSAA Midwestern League Colts head coach, Blaine Liberatore, good friend of the program. As in his 11th season, he takes them back to the dance in the Final 8 at Linfield University in McMinnville. But first, it's intern producer Dom sitting at the controls, the pilot's chair, as it were, and the co-pilot's chairs. I'm Doc. That's Danny. Over there, to my right, Justin Alexander Grossweiner, the first. We call him Baby J. What a boy.
I definitely think there's never going to be another Justin Alexander Grossweiner.
Never
there
say
will
never.
never be a second.
Never say never.
I will never put anybody through what I went through as a kid.
Well, you can't change the last name, dude.
Well, you can, actually. I've thought about it.
You're not. No.
I used to think about it.
Come
I always
on.
used to go, okay, if I ever became a professional athlete or, became famous, which, I guess maybe I'm kind of on my way to that. I don't know. But I always
From
said.
humble beginnings.
Yeah. Not, just staying humble over here. I always considered changing my pseudonym, I guess my, not actual name, but
on-air name.
My on-air name to just Justin Alexander.
Yeah, that would have worked.
It would have worked, but I think I've already committed.
Yeah,
Here we
it's
are.
too late now.
Yeah, I
we've
know.
already said it.
Well, I'm just Baby J, so which I appreciate.
People call you that out in the public.
They have. Yeah, they do.
It's all right. Out in the public. Danny and Justin on Twitter and Blue Sky. Also, you can follow us on the platforms wherever you do your podcast music, Danny and Justin. It'll be up here after that. So, a lot to get to today. We're going to hear from Jamarcus Shepard as well as Oregon State started their spring practices. It's just a quick set. They're going to go today on the 12th and the 14th before they take an 18-day break for the quarterfinals. That's winter quarterfinals, which means they're taking tests and spring break. And then they'll resume practicing on the 1st and the 3rd of April. And they'll have a couple more weeks of practices. They're going to have their spring game on April 25th. Same weekend, same day that Oregon's going to have theirs. So they're going to have 15 practices, and we'll hear from the coach here in a little bit. And, of course, the enthusiasm abounds in Corvallis with the new head coach, the new program, the new look. And we'll also talk about Oregon State men's basketball as one door opens, another one closes. As Wayne Tinkle has coached his last game on the Beaver sideline, they fell to Gonzaga in the WCC tournament on the men's side in the semifinals. So we'll discuss that. And I'm sure that you heard or saw this.
Is this a collective you or literally me?
I'm talking to you.
Okay.
And other people out there as well. I'm sure Dom looked at it as well if you're on social media at all. Tress Tinkle the coach's son
I did see this, yeah.
sent this tweet out. I don't know if I want to repeat the whole thing, but I'll just say if you go look it up, if it's true, that's a really bad look for the athletic director, Scott Barnes. It's a really bad look.
I saw a response to that from Andy Machado saying that there were similar sentiment that had been heard when Trent Bray had been fired from the football team.
So here's what I would say if this is true. And again, unless we can, to me, I will talk about it in explaining it further. I'm sorry I'm being so cryptic, but I'm not the one that wants to spread things that could be necessarily not true.
Yeah, you might as well tweet out some emojis on your Instagram at this point, not say anything.
So if I hear from several players, and I would imagine that there would be reporters that would be remiss, and I'm just talking to you, James Crepia, is if you're not asking the question of the players, hey, there was a report that the athletic director came in and said to each player this. If that's validated and true, I'm sorry. That to me would be a final nail in the Scott Barnes tenure at Oregon State. You can't have an athletic director basically coming in and undermining your coach, your lame duck coach, when they're playing in a semifinal game in the conference tournament.
Well, this isn't what I talked about yesterday. Is that what is he actually rooting for? Is he rooting for the team to win at this point?
I was rooting for the team to win.
I was certainly rooting for I think everybody, including Scott Barnes, should be rooting for the team to win. Yeah. Especially Scott Barnes should be rooting for the team to win.
Doesn't the team get a check if they keep advancing and they get into the NCAA tournament?
I don't know the details
they
on
have
that.
to. Yeah,
Probably.
There's something that they get because it's all slicing and dicing the TV money. Everyone gets a piece of the pie.
But wouldn't you say the further that Wayne Tinkle went, the worse it made Scott Barnes look?
1,000,000%. And that's why I'm putting some credence into what was being reported by the coach's son. Now, if this was some rando, Beaver Sledge, 125, Twitter, whatever it was, or, Beaver Slide 844, I would go, yeah, right. You're not in the locker room. You're not inside. But when it's coming from the now ex-coach's son, I think there's something to it. So we will see. Because they're going to have exit, players are going to end up being available, and especially now players are going to be leaving the program. I'm sure they're going to be upfront with what was said and what was not said.
Something stinks up in Corvallis, Danny. It stinks in a not good way.
Beavers fall to the Bulldogs. Number 12 Gonzaga won by 9 Monday evening. Jorge Diaz-Graham led the Beavers 15 points, 9 boards, 4 blocks. Josiah Lake II, who had a very emotional press conference because he came on as a walk-on and ended up being the starting point guard for the Beavers, ended up with 8 points, 4 assists. And Isaiah Sy finished the night with 7 points, 8 rebounds. Graham Ike led Gonzaga with 24 points.
Yeah, and nobody else had double figures.
And they shot 47% from the floor. This was probably a gettable game, except both offenses really struggled early on, and the Bulldogs kind of moved out to an 11-point lead. Then they trailed. Beavers did by 12 with 5 minutes left in the half, ended up trailing by 14 at the half. They got back within 9. They never really threatened Gonzaga, so they move on to the championship game. Yeah, they didn't have a Graham Ike. No, they did not have it.
And they did pretty well on him last year when Gonzaga came up to Corvallis, but I think that team had more length than this current team did. And so, man, I think it says it all. I think, 17 shot attempts versus the next player having 7. So this game, talk about just the game itself a little bit, I guess. I don't think Oregon State had much of a chance in this one based on their roster.
Well, all I can say is this. The Wayne Tinkle era is going to be marred. People are going to look at the 2 back-to-back seasons where they were under 10 wins and point to that as being the downfall. I think there's going to be several people in Corvallis that will think fondly of Wayne Tinkle, saying he ran a good program. He was never in trouble off the court with players, never had a sniff of a recruiting violation, never got even a secondary violation in the program for the NCAA calling attention to him. And then that magical run that they had, winning the Pac-12 out of nowhere and going to an Elite Eight. I mean, that was a crazy run. That was a crazy year with a mash unit of players. But you can't live off of that forever. And that's kind of where it ran out. According to Scott Barnes, it's ran out. And when we hear Wayne Tinkle talk about he wasn't getting the commitment that
I need $4 million in NIL money. I'm getting 2.
Right.
It all compiled.
Exactly. And that's where I get back to the timing of this is so bizarre. Even if you were going to let him go, why do it 2 games before the end of or 1 game before the end of the season, and then put yourself in a position where, like I said, the further that he goes, the worse that it looks for you. I just don't really understand the way that the process worked here. It's something we've talked about with Dane Altman all season long, because everybody was calling for his head, and still people are. And the whole time it kind of felt like, well, who are you going to move on to that's better? And it feels the same way with Oregon State and with the Beavers. It's like, who are you going to move on to now that's going to be putting you in a better position with your program where it is today? You're not getting that $4 million. You're getting the $2 million. So who's going to get the most out of the $2 million? That's, I guess, my question. And who's that going to be? I don't know. Maybe Scott Barnes knows.
Yeah, maybe he does.
I hope he does.
He's got the Ouija board and the crystal ball somewhere hidden in his office, and he just pulls it out when everybody else is away.
I mean, in a way, though, it kind of doesn't make it about Scott Barnes now.
It has to be now.
I mean,
because he's made it that way.
He's made it that way, exactly. By doing this, it's now his stamp on it.
Yep.
And you could say the same thing with the football program, although I think that one's more understandable.
Well, let's get back to football, by the way, because you got some quotes from Jamarcus Shepard in the postscript, and I'll tell you this: if you want to, we just kind of unveiled a little bit of we think might be the not so great side of Scott Barnes in his tenure as athletic director with the handling of the basketball program. Well, he's hitting it out of the park with Jamarcus Shepard out of the gate. I mean,
I think so too.
This guy, enthusiastic, comes from an SEC program, brings an offensive mindset to Corvallis, much like, just in recent history, Jonathan Smith was another offensive guy and brought Oregon State back to relevance again, and then it quickly faded with Trent Bray. But Jamarcus Shepard says the general evaluation of the players and their practice was positive in their first spring game.
Yeah, I thought our offense really started really fast, which is one of our pillars within building a program. Start fast, the middle 8, and then finish strong, And I think our defense really actually finished really strong in this practice, They came on really a ton of energy at the end of the practice, and that carried them for that last team period. I felt like our quarterbacks were completing the ball really well down the field today. It was good to see some of those balls go in the air. I think that's what people like to see. But I also thought our running backs did a good job of finding creases and holes. I thought that was outstanding. I thought our linebackers today showed their ability to really plug the holes that we need them to be in and be elite at understanding their fits. I thought that was really outstanding. And then our edge rushers, I thought, and we don't have a ton of them, but the ones we do have, they held up pretty well.
So I thought that comment at the end there was interesting. I mean, it's true, but it just goes to show that there are some things still about this program that are lacking, even though Jamarcus Shepard's coming in when he was able to come in, and he wasn't coming in to a great situation, obviously. But I do think that so far, like you said, I do think this hire, as far as we can tell, because the games have not been played, everything so far I have liked with Jamarcus Shepard. He comes across as very likable. He comes across as a guy that knows what he's doing. Of course, that quote right there was a lot of platitudes. I mean, it was a lot of coach speak, saying, hey, like everybody's doing great, which is kind of what you want to hear, obviously. But at the same time, I do feel like he seems like the kind of guy that, man, if there's some sort of substance to what he's doing, I do think they have something.
Well, it's going to be revealed in the first 4 games as well. But Jamarcus Shepard also discussed, and I'll challenge anybody who is a Beaver fan to name me 3 players on the defensive side of the football that are going to start. Okay? You probably know some of the names on the offensive side, but there's a lot of no names, and there are some players that have had to play some catch-up because they're coming in late through the transfer portal and such, because they're coming off of teams that were deep into the playoffs or playing a bowl game, and Coach Shepard talks about that.
These young men have been met with love from me and my staff, and that's the key. They know without a shadow of a doubt that we love them. Had one of them go into Scott Barnes' office and said, hey, I think I've gone through the hardest thing that I've ever gone through over this winter. And guess what? I know Coach Shep loves me. Well, that was told to me, so hopefully. And so, no doubt, that's how we start with our program, and then that allows you and gives you the opportunity to coach them harder because they know that it's coming from a place of love. It's not coming from a place of disrespect. I'm very clear with our staff, yeah, we're going to coach them hard, okay? But we're always going to coach the action, what they're doing versus making it personal and about the player. And so, yeah, there's some fun times out there, okay? There's a lot of energy out there, but it's all for a purpose of letting the player know this is the standard. Hey, perform at this standard.
There's a rebuild from the ground up with Oregon State, and that's where it begins. So you're tearing the entire structure down. You're starting from the bottom. And again, you hear all these things that Jamarcus Shepard says and the enthusiasm behind his voice. I would imagine with the young men who are going to be around the football program, they're going to buy into that. Now, I will also just temper that with they're going to have to start producing on the field. I mean, they're going to have to keep staying in games. They're going to have to win some of those games for that enthusiasm, that motivation, that feel-good stuff to keep continuing, because this is a show-me business. It's not, we have the moral victory. You always hear coaches talk about, I don't care about moral victories. That is very true in the arms race that is now going to be the new Pac-12.
It absolutely is true. You want to know the problem with that?
Sure.
Game 1 is against Houston on the road.
So the first 4 games.
Game 2 is against Texas Tech. Game 3 is Montana at home. So that's a tough introduction to Jamarcus Shepard.
The steel is going to meet the anvil in the first couple of games, and we're going to find out how all of that enthusiasm and the feel-good and the huggy and all that. And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not making light of it, okay? I'm not being sarcastic with that.
I'm with you.
But then it's going to be like, okay, you get punched in the face a couple of times, and then how are you going to react to that adversity? I've always said, I find the real mettle of a person in how they react in adversity, not when it's good times.
Mm-hmm. But I could see his sort of attitude being a good one during those times.
Don't disagree with that at all.
So we'll see how it actually goes when the rubber meets the road. But right. I do think that the returns so far have been pretty good. I do like what I've been seeing.
Blaine Liberatore, the head coach of the Thurston Colts, coming up in just a few moments here on the Danny and Justin radio program. Oregon baseball has got a 3:05 first pitch against Xavier. It's that odd midweek 2 games set as Xavier finished off their run in Corvallis, a long weekend there
yesterday.
Get a lot
of those.
They lost 7-2 to the Beavs. Beavs needed, though, a 6-run 7th inning. They were down 2-1 in this game, so they had to rally and come back. It did give Oregon State a 4-game sweep, and they're now 11-4 overall. Xavier drops to 5-11 as they come. We'll talk a little bit more about that game that's coming up. Beavers are hitting the road for an 8-game road trip starting in San Diego on Friday. The Toreros get underway at Fowler Park at 6 p.m. That'll air on the Beaver Sport Network and ESPN+. But we'll talk a little bit more about Xavier and Oregon baseball in the last segment. How about that?
Yeah, we've been talking a lot of Xavier, so might as well talk a little bit more.
And the Xavier mascot is?
Oh, I don't remember. I lived in an area,
Come on,
too.
Dom.
I don't remember.
I'm not even looking at this stuff right here. It's the Musketeers.
Too many mascots.
It's the Musketeers.
Okay, that's a pretty good mascot.
Old Skip Prosser, the head coach of basketball
when did
those
Skip
years.
Prosser coach?
Oh, it was in the 80s and 90s.
Well, there you go. I was born in 1995.
That's right. That's where maturity sometimes comes into my favor. All right, let's take our first break. When we come back live from the Bigfoot Beverages Studios, it's our dear friend. He gets his nickname today.
Yeah.
He doesn't know this yet. I didn't prepare him for this, but Blaine Liberatore, the head coach of the Thurston High School Colts basketball team, will be joining us. We'll give him his nickname next on the Danny and Justin radio program. WCC Women's Championship game right now. Baby J, what's the score?
It is 51-45 Gonzaga.
Beavs down by 6. Big Ten tournament first round.
Not a great start for Oregon.
Oregon down to Maryland 15-3 with 11:22 left in the first. By the way, that WCC Women's Championship game is in the waning moments of the third quarter. All right, let's head on over to the Oregon Man Clinics hotline at 541-343-5673 and welcome in our good friend and a returning guest to the program. It's the head coach of the Thurston High Colts, who are ranked number 4 in the OSAA out of the Midwestern League, as they head up to Linfield University in McMinnville for the 5A Final 8 in the quarterfinals, and that'll start tomorrow. And I'll be up there as well. We welcome in Blaine Liberatore. Coach, how are things?
Howdy. Third time, long time.
Oh, see, here it is. Third time,
Third time it is the tradition on the Danny and Justin radio program. We haven't handed out a nickname for a second, but we're going to hand one out now, Coach, to you. It's the third time charm. It's your nickname. You ready, Coach?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Forevermore on the Danny and Justin radio program. Going back to your roots, got a little help from Goose on this one. Coach, your nickname is Boomer.
Oh, yeah. That's a nod back to Toledo High School where I graduated. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, hats off to Goose for helping me out. I had another one. I'll talk to you about it when we're up at McMinnville, but
sure,
it would have been fine as well, but I like Boomer better. So there you go.
It's a good one, man. It's a good one.
All right.
One of the Toledo High School, my alma mater, I think we're the only Boomer mascot in the entire country.
I have to look that up. I think you're right. Because it was like a boom, like a rocket ship, right?
So it depends on who you ask, right?
Okay.
Like the mascot is like this, almost like a mountain beaver type thing, not a nutria and not a rat and not a beaver, but this like mountain.
Oh, weird.
Beaver. Yeah, it's an interesting mascot.
Okay.
But the story I've been told is that when Toledo High School originated, it was actually outside of Toledo city limits. And was in a small development called Cannon. And so they were the Cannon Boomers.
Oh, very nice.
Now, I have not been able to verify that, but that's the story I was told. And that's the story I'm sticking with.
There you go. 20-5 overall, Coach, on the season. You finished 11-1 in league in the tough Midwestern League, who's sending, by the way, 3 teams to the Final 8, including yourself, Crater, and North Eugene. Your 11th year. But as you were starting this season or at the end of last year when you made it to the tournament as well in the Final 8, you were thinking, I got some kids coming back. But it didn't end up being that way for you.
Yeah, we look a little different than we thought we would at the start of the year. We had a really, really good year last year, and things didn't quite go our way in the state tournament for a myriad of reasons. But we're like, hey, we got 6 kids, 6 of our 11 coming back. We feel really good about that. We had a really good JV team. We had some really good freshmen on that JV team. And so we're like, hey, we feel great about things. 3 of our kids that were all going to be seniors this year ended up having season-ending surgeries in the off season. And so we go from having 6 returners who were all big-time contributors to only having 3. And those younger kids who were playing JV had to come and step into big-time varsity roles. And I think that was probably reflected in the first 7 games of the season when we went 3-4 against a tough schedule. We scheduled our non-league really tough, thinking we were going to have all those kids back. But I think it turned out to be the best thing for us because it made us grow up quickly, and those young kids have really grown up quickly. You talk about Leo Felipe, who starts for us and plays center for us and was, I think, second team all-state defensive end or something like that. And then Ridge Lindsay, who is a junior for us and has come in and really shored us up defensively and at our 4-man spot, which is a really pivotal spot for us. And Brody Corrigan is the spark plug off the bench, and he's a sophomore and played freshman point guard last year and comes in and plays 2 or 3 different spots for us and really gives us a big lift. Rylan Sharp is a 6'7" post that comes off the bench for us, and I think he plays about 12 minutes a game or something like that, but leads us in blocked shots. So we've gotten a big-time contributions from kids that were not varsity returners last year. Start the season 3-4, and then we go on a run. We beat West Lynn at the Capital City Classic, the last game of that, up in Salem, really, really cool tournament. We go down to the Abbeys tournament in Medford and win all 3 down there. And we're just kind of off and running. I think the statistic was 16 or 17-1 or something like that.
Yeah, 17 out of your last 18, Coach.
Yeah, 17 out of our last 18 with 1 hiccup against North Eugene at home in overtime in a really, really good game against a really, really good team. So really, really proud with where we're at, but we're on to the next goal here and on to the next challenge, and it's a good one in the Summit Storm.
Northwest Oregon Conference gets a lot of props in Central Oregon as well. The conference that features, Ridgeview and Caldera and Summit gets a lot of props. But the Midwestern League historically has been a pretty tough conference when you're talking about Churchill, when you're talking about now Crater and North Eugene.
But in the last few years, Midwestern League hasn't really gotten that team over the hump into the championship game. But I want you to talk about how tough this league is because it steals your teams. And I talked to Blake earlier today, Blake G from North Eugene, about how the conference play, the league play really gets you guys ready for what you're going to face up in McMinnville.
Yeah, I think when you look at our league, probably a little undervalued at the start of the season. And we haven't had a lot of success at the final site. I think a couple of years ago, it was Joey Bannery when he was a junior. That was the last team that won a first-round game up at the final site. I think that's correct. So it's been a few years. And so I think everyone kind of forgot about the Midwestern League. But then this year, you look at the non-league, and there's teams creeping up. North Eugene creeps up into the top 3, Craters in the top 5. We're lurking around there. Churchill's messing with the top 10. Ashland's hovering around there. We end up at the end of the season, we had 5 teams in the top 16 in 5A, in the top half of 5A. And so our teams in our league are battle tested because there's not really any easy sleeper games in our league, especially when you have 5 teams in the top 16. So you had to really be on your game and be ready to play every single night. And I thought our kids did an amazing job of that. We've only allowed more than 50 points once since December, and that was to Ashland on senior night. Other than that, we held teams in the mid-40s. We've held some teams in the 20s. And so our team hangs its hat on defense, and I think if you asked anyone around our league, like what we're known for, it's going to be being really, really good defensively, being really efficient offensively. And I think that was ultimately our secret to success in winning our league.
Thurston boys basketball head coach Blaine Liberatore is with us on the Danny and Justin radio program, and we have newly donned him Boomer, although I think Liberatore is a pretty cool last name if you ask me, so I'm a little bit jealous. But, Coach, talk to me about your starting point guard, Logan Paquette, as a guy that was named the unanimous choice for Defensive Player of the Year in the Midwestern League. Not always a guy that's going to show up on the stat sheet, but not everybody needs to. Some players are vocal leaders, and it seems like he's one of those guys. And it sounds like he also has a pretty amazing story that I'd love for you to share with us.
Yeah, so Logan is, in my opinion, the heart and soul of our team and our program. His dad is, in my opinion, a local legend, Doug Paquette. I call him the mayor because it seems like everywhere we go, someone knows him. He was the head coach at Thurston when I came on at Thurston, and we developed a really good friendship and relationship. And it's kind of come full circle with me being the head coach and Doug being on our staff since 2019. And I've gotten to see Logan grow up ever since I got on at Thurston, and I've known him since he was just a little kid. So, there's that aspect of it that makes it really special. He's earned everything he's gotten on the basketball floor. He's our quarterback. He's our vocal leader. He keeps us organized on both ends of the floor. Unanimous defensive player of the year. And he doesn't lead us in steals. He doesn't lead us in blocks. But I think he gives up something like 4.2 points a game to the guy that he's guarding when he's guarding the ball. He leads us in charges taken. He keeps us organized. He talks early. He talks often. He makes sure everyone knows their job. Offensively, he makes sure that we're always in what we need to be in. Teams leave him open a lot of the time because they want to help off of somebody. They help off of him. He knocks down threes at a 50% clip right now. And so he makes teams pay. And it's all really special because of what he's gone through really since his 8th grade year. When he was an 8th grader during basketball season, was diagnosed with a brain tumor. He had really, really bad migraines and was throwing up. And it was so bad they went to the hospital one night and they're like, we have to rush you guys to OHSU. And ended up having brain surgery to remove a portion of this brain tumor, which some of it still remains. And there's always the threat of it coming back. And so he's, as an 8th grader, he has to miss a chunk of his 8th grade year because he has this surgery. And a year later, he's starting at point guard for us as a freshman.
That's crazy.
And he's had to battle through some issues and residual effects of the condition, and in the back of his mind, it's something that's always there. But you would never know it by talking to him or looking at him or watching him play. And it's just a heartwarming, it's like a tragic but heartwarming story. Like, I feel for him so much because he's such an amazing kid, and you never want to see someone you care about so deeply go through something like that. But I'm so proud of him for everything that he's accomplished and everything that he's done to make our program what it is, while battling all of that. And I get emotional talking about him, just because of how much I care about him and his family, and how much he's meant to me and my family. He's absolutely one of the best kids I've ever been around, and I consider myself really, really lucky to be in his life.
The Thurston High School Colts head basketball man. It's Blaine Liberatore joining us in his 11th season with the Colts, the Midwestern League champs, 20-5 overall, as they head into the Tournament of 8, the Final 8 at McMinnville at Linfield University, as the 5A basketball state championships get underway tomorrow afternoon and into the evening. Coach, another player that stands out for you comes from a pretty decent gene pool. Matt Labounty and Kelly Blair Labounty, who was an Olympic athlete. She was a heptathlete. And, of course, former Univo linebacker Matt Labounty. They had a kid, Lucas, who was a Midwestern Player of the Year, again, for the second season in a row, averages 25 points for you. What is this kid? I mean, when you look at him, and you take pictures of him and stuff, and you're just like, wow, the kid's not like, stacked Bill. I mean, no offense, but it's not like a kid who's just like, wow, it's going to overwhelm you, but he really does when he gets the ball in his hands.
He is the epitome of a hooper, I'll tell you that. And great parents, and that's one of the things. Our program is blessed with so many great parents, man. It's so awesome in that Thurston community and the support we get from our parents. And Kelly and Matt are a part of that as well. The cool thing is Lucas is completely self-made. And his parents have had a big hand in his journey and helping guide him, but they've never said like pushed him in any one direction. They've just always supported him. And I think they were able to do that because of their background as athletes, and saying, hey, like, this is how it worked for us. It's going to work for him too. So they've certainly provided him opportunities, but he's seized everyone. Lucas is a special kid. We knew he was going to be pretty special really growing up. In his freshman year, we moved Logan up because we needed a point guard. We kept Lucas on the freshman team because we wanted him to continue to develop as a dominant scorer. His sophomore year was tough. We made the state playoffs that year. We shared a league title with North Eugene, but he had a very limited role as a sophomore, as a contributor. He didn't really play a lot, and he said in a podcast that he did with a buddy of mine that motivated him to come back bigger, stronger, faster, and better his junior year. And boy, did he ever. He came out of nowhere to be the Midwestern Player of the Year as a junior on the number 2 team in the state. And he's come back even better this year. Like, a lot of people would be like, hey, that's cool. Like, I'm just going to put in minimal work and go do it again. Not Lucas. He continued to get in the gym, continued to perfect his craft, and he's upped his game exponentially this year. So Midwestern League Player of the Year again for a second year in a row. He's broken our school record for scoring in a season. He currently stands at 607 points and counting with the next couple games. He's shooting 50, 40, 90, which is 50% from the field, 40% from 3, 90 from the free throw line. He leads us in rebounding, leads us in assists, leads us in steals. He had a career high on senior night of 41 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and a block to really just cement his place as the Player of the Year. But I think you said the thing that was probably the biggest compliment to him is you look at him and you don't see this like incredible athlete who's just running by people or jumping over people. He is so efficient and so smart on the court. He gets to his spots. He converts when he gets to his spots. He changes speed. He sees things a step ahead. If you take something away, he goes to the next thing, and he does it really quickly. He's an absolute joy and pleasure, not just to coach, but to watch. There's times when I just sit back and watch him. And it's just like, it's truly like an artist out there with his canvas and his brush, just creating art. It's so cool to watch him play and elevate his game. And I think the thing I'm most proud of him for is his leadership skills this year. He's really become one of our team leaders vocally. And it's needed because Logan has always been that, but I think you need two of those guys, and he's done that. And I think our guys react really well to him because he never gets too high. He never gets too low. He's really, really even-keeled. He reminds me of Kevin Durant in how he can get to his spots and be so efficient, shooting the basketball from all three levels. And so he's a joy and a pleasure to have on our team. We're very, very lucky to have him, and I'm looking forward to him in McMinnville.
Colts are grab the number 4 seed. They'll take on the Summit Storm, the number 5 seed, 3:15. It's not the late game, Coach. You get the 3:15 slot. And the quarterfinals, they'll play the winner of the Crater-Crook County game as well, if you can get there at 1:30 on the 13th. Coach, so final question for you. This is now, it's the final 8. Everyone's at 0-0. You at least get 2 games, but you want 3. So talk about how this becomes now a sprint rather than the marathon of the season, because really it is, you can lay it all out in one game.
Yeah, so, state tournament is always interesting because you focus so much on the first game, and then it is kind of like scramble mode for preparing for the second and third. We've tried to keep our focus really narrow and not even like focus on the winning part of it. Like, of course we want to win it, but we've talked about process. Like, let's take care of the process. And we've scouted ahead with so many teams. It helps having North Eugene and Crater there because we already have so much info on those guys.
Sure.
But, we have Crook County film. We have a ton of Summit film. We're studying everybody, saying, okay, what are the common things? We got to be good at things. We got to be good at defending things that happen a lot. We got to be good at looks offensively that we get a lot. But at the same time, like, Summit has all of our attention. And for good reason. Very, very capable, very, very good team. Great program. I mean, they've been in the state championship, 4 years in a row?
Right. Won it 2 years ago. Yep.
Yep, won it 2 years ago on a buzzer beater. We're in the state championship last year. They just incredible program with very, very capable kids, very good basketball players. They're long, they're athletic, they shoot it well. So they have all of our attention for sure, but we're preparing for whoever we see next as well at the same time. And the cool thing about our kids is they show up, and they're, in my opinion, we're really, really fun to watch because we play basketball unlike so many teams. Like, we're the number 1 defensive team in the state. We allow an average of 44 points a game. And Summit is I think they're the number 4 offensive team in the state. And so it's going to be this meeting point of a team who's really, really good offensively in Summit and a team who's really, really good defensively in us. And we're going to see which will can win.
Well, Coach, we'll be watching closely, and good luck to you. 3:15 tomorrow, first tip. It's the second game of the day. Crater and Crook County started off at 1:30 tomorrow at Linfield University. Boomer, it's always a pleasure reconnecting with you during the basketball season. We'll see you up there in McMinnville.
Yeah, let's talk soon. Go Colts.
There he goes, the great Boomer, Blaine Liberatore, the head coach of the Thurston Colts. They grab that number 4 seed. They'll take on Summit tomorrow, 3:15 up at McMinnville as the 5A tournament. Just the boys tomorrow, then the girls start their action on Thursday. Got lots of baseball to talk about. Ducks, Beavs, and basketball as well. We'll give you an update from the WCC Championship game where Oregon State's competing, and the Big Ten tournament for the men as Oregon's taking on Maryland in the opening round game. Back when we take a break to pay some bills on the Danny Justin radio program. If you missed the newly anointed Boomer, Blaine Liberatore, the head coach of the Thurston Colts, boys basketball going to head up to the OSAA tournament. 5A ranks at Linfield University. You can go back to the podcast, listen to it. Really great story. The senior point guard Logan Paquette, what he's overcome, and the hooper Lucas Slabowny. Some Oregon royalty with his dad and his mom. When you talk about the gene stock, the gene pool that's there, an Olympic heptathlete is your mom, an all-time Oregon great at the linebacker position is your dad. Man, if you're not playing some kind of sports, goodness gracious. All right, so
a WCC championship going on right now. Minute 53 left in the fourth, in regulation, as I always like to say, especially if it's on an even number. 67-63, Gonzaga over Oregon State. Oregon State's line just missed a free throw. Second one on the way. That's no good off the heel. Rebound down to Gonzaga. Sorry, I'm going to fall into a little play-by-play there for a second. I'm going to have enough of that over the next 4 days. So Oregon men right now, man, just, you know what? It comes to a certain point, it's just, let's just have this mercifully end. If they're not going to win the Big Ten tournament, let's just, honestly, I'm just saying, let's just get it over with at this point. I hate to say that, but it's just like you hope and you wish and you pray and you do whatever you want, make sacrifices, and it's 31-12 with 59 seconds left in the first half. First half. They've scored 12 points with 59 seconds left in the first half, baby J.
Let's let the game finish before we have any conclusions. But yes, it's not looking good, and it has not been a good season so far.
Look at you. Normally these roles are reversed, and you're Mr. Pessimistic guy, and I'm Mr. Optimism guy.
Yeah. Maybe they close this half strong, and then they put themselves in position where they can chip away in the second half, and you never know.
Okay. I hope so.
I hope so, too. I don't know. I mean, I understand. I understand why people are frustrated. It's been a very, very frustrating season. It's been one of the most frustrating seasons that I can remember in a long, long time.
So let's stay on hoops for a second. So you and I had the debate before the Big Ten women's tournament started and I think we had agreed that if Oregon won at least 2 games, they could possibly move themselves up on the seed line. And I just was looking at projections again this morning, the latest projections, because all of the conference tournaments are done. All the automatic bids are out there. Now you're going to have at-large bids and such. I see Oregon now at the 7 line in a lot of projections. Did you see the same thing? Because I've been looking. I don't know if you've looked.
I've looked a little bit, yeah. And I'm a little surprised. I could have seen them just kind of stick them in that 8-9, but it makes sense based on who they've competed with this season, and they haven't had that signature big win over a top 10 team or anything like that, but they've been competing with those teams in that 7, 8, 6 range, so it makes sense to me.
I think beating Maryland twice, once in the regular season and then in the Big Ten tournament, kind of vaulted them to that spot, and they just ran it. Listen, the committee's going to take into account that it was 3 games in 3 days against a top 10 team, and you just ran out of gas in the second half. So I believe it's a fair seed.
You can't hold that Michigan game against them.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. There's no way you can. And the other thing being is that I think that also gives a signal on how many teams on the women's side the Big Ten's going to get in the dance and how highly ranked they're going to be. I think Michigan might end up being on that 4 line and stay there. I mean, I don't see how they can't. So
yeah,
3 or 4.
For Oregon, moving into the Big Ten for one sport or another, it's been good or bad. And it's definitely been good for women's basketball. I definitely think that's helped them. Not every team that they play has been ranked, but even the teams that aren't, such as a Minnesota, they have pretty good RPI rankings. So I think that that's part of the reason why that they're being pretty successful. Obviously, last year, they had some ups and downs too. But I think the Big Ten is a very, very good women's basketball conference, and I think that it is helping Oregon right now.
Selection Sunday is the 15th. So we'll find out where, when, who, why.
It's my birthday.
And how. Happy birthday. It's Sunday, and you're going to go up to see Mom.
Yep.
Okay. So we'll find out where they land. And probably not going to be in the West. They're probably going to end up going back to the East Coast somewhere or the South. I would hope that they would think, you put them in that region like the South or whatever, that you would at least give them a West Coast game. Stick them up in Seattle. If I don't even know where the regionals are. I know Portland's got a men's regional again, but the way they do it geographically is they'll put a southern team. They'll stick them out west, even though they're not playing in the time zone. You understand what I'm saying? Is that you'll have a South regional, but it'll be in Portland, Oregon. It's just what? That's the way they do it. Because of geography, they're trying to keep teams from not jumping a ton of time zones, but it's still going to end up happening. I think Oregon, like they did last year, had to go to North Carolina, right? Yeah. And they won one game, then they lost the second game. So hopefully not a quick exit. Under a minute left. Gonzaga now leads 69-64 over Oregon State. I think the Oregon State women are in as well. It would have been better if they would have got the AQ, the automatic qualifier, to win the tournament. But at 23, if they lose this game, they'll be 23-11 out of the WCC. I still think that gets them a bid. They're not
I'm
ranked.
a little concerned, I have to say.
Okay.
I'm a little concerned.
I think getting to the championship game was the lock for them. Gonzaga's going to go to 24-9 if they win this game. It looks like it's going to take a Herculean effort as the Beavs are down by 6 now with under a minute left.
Need to stay within 2 possessions here.
Okay, so Oregon baseball, 3:05 first pitch, and they've got 2 against Xavier in the middle of the week. Ducks are 12-3 overall, 2-1 in the Big Ten. Xavier is now 5-10 after dropping 4 straight to Oregon State. And then Oregon will continue the homestand. By the way, this is a long homestand. Big Ten conference play continues for the Ducks after this 2-game set, as they'll welcome in the Hoosiers of Indiana and then Northwestern on back-to-back weekends. So they get a nice rest between Sunday and the following Friday when Northwestern comes down. But Indiana, if the weather holds, should be a nice weekend for Duck baseball.
Yeah, I saw somebody, I don't remember where, they were calling Xavier like a decent baseball program. I just don't see it based on what they've done early so far this season. They had
the lead into the 6th inning against the Beavs in the getaway day.
I understand, and they've played some tough teams. They've played Arkansas. They've played, I believe, Auburn. They obviously played the Beavers, and the Ducks are obviously a good team too. But, man, you want to know what their team ERA is?
Well, I know you're going to tell me. Go ahead.
It's 8. It's over 8. It's 8.15. That's not good. They don't have a player batting 300. Their top innings pitcher has a 450 ERA. Number 2 is 350. So, like, even their best guys are not spectacular. But I think we talked about it yesterday with Isaac Streeter from the Portland Tribune. They have like 18 pitchers or something like that. So you have to have that many pitchers if you're going to do as many games as they're going to do in as few games.
Ducks RPI is 30, to your point. Xavier's RPI, anyone want to take a quick guess?
Is it triple digits?
Yes. 103.
Oh, I was right on the money.
103. So Ducks are coming off a series win on the road in West Lafayette against Purdue, where the Bats came alive on Sunday after losing a tough, just a brutal game. Colin Clark threw BBs against the Boilermakers on Saturday, and the Bats just were not there, as Purdue's pitching staff was equal to the task, and the Ducks lost that one 2-1 after winning by 1 the day before, and they had to hang on for that victory. They were up like 7-1 in that game and ended up winning by a run. And then the Bats came alive. Angel Lai parks a couple out, and a really good outing by Cal Scolari on the hill, and the Ducks get the 12-4 win. So Mark Wasikowski's team,
15-4.
It was 15-4, sorry. Yeah, they run ruled them. That's why.
Yeah.
Did I say 12-4?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I said that. So, okay. I don't know.
It was a good win.
It was a good win for the Ducks. So we'll watch that as well. Okay, anything else you got on your mind?
Did you see the, speaking of Cal Raleigh and Randy Arozarena thing?
No.
Yeah, Randy Arozarena tries to give him a fist bump when Mexico is playing the USA, and man, Cal Raleigh and so it was Randy Arozarena was not happy with not getting a fist bump. And these guys are teammates, by the way, on the Mariners. So we'll see what happens there.
Okay. So, I didn't tell you this before we go to Dad Joke. I know you're ready, Don. Thank you. I appreciate you. Is Travis Demers, the mayor, texted me the other day when he was on the road trip. He got to talk to Kyle Schwarber for a few minutes. I knew
that's so cool.
I knew you'd fanboy out.
I love Kyle Schwarber so much.
I told him. I said, you didn't get an autograph for Baby J, and he says, no, I didn't realize he was that big a fan. I said,
wow,
he is a Schwarber.
That was a possibility.
Fanboy.
You shouldn't have even said that. I love him. He's one of my favorite athletes of all time. Very cool. Very cool.
Both of them.
By the way, Travis Demers is going to be on the show tomorrow.
Okay, you got to ask him about it. So give him Kane. He says, Danny told me that you met and talked to Kyle Schwarber for a while, and you didn't get me an autograph.
Yeah.
What's up with that, dog? All right, let's do our dad joke.
Oh, a joke! I got fired from the bank today. A woman asked me to check her balance, so I pushed her.
Dad jokes!
TikTok.
Why was Cinderella so bad at soccer?
Oh,
Cinderella so bad at soccer.
Something about a shoe. Something about only having one shoe.
She kept running away from the ball.
Oh, well, you shouldn't do that. That's a good one.
Okay. There you go. So the mayor tomorrow on the program?
Yeah, mayor tomorrow.